I'm excited to be here with Annie today to talk about project management. Everyone's uh, probably biggest issue when it comes to computers and getting work done. I'm actually tracking this. I love working with Annie here. So it is 11 o'clock. We're going to wait about a minute to jump in, but we're going to jump straight into this. Um, I value everyone's time here, so we're going to protect that and jump right in. So, my name is Sean Lemon. I'm the founder of the Digital Organizer, and we are here to help clarify people's lives and bring order to chaos. So, the four primary things that we do are helping you communicate better, store your files and be able to retrieve them quickly so everyone knows where to find things, make sure that everyone can get into their tools with a good password management. And of course, the thing that pulls everything together and really throws fuel on the fire is project management. And Annie is just incredible at this. So before we introduce her, I want to give a real quick thing on logistics. So everyone is muted by default, and that's perfect. We love to see faces while presenting, so if so it doesn't feel like we're just talking to a screen. So if you're willing, we'd love for you to turn your camera on, and at the end we'll open it up for Q&A, and you can unmute yourself then when we call on you. Yeah, if you've got a question before that, drop it in the chat and we'll grab it. All right. So, looking at the attendees list, most of you are from my newsletter, and some of you found me through a podcast. Either way, you're here because you probably tried a project management tool or three, and they didn't stick. Asana, Trello, Monday, ClickUp. You set them up with Hope. You get your team in there if you've got one, and a couple of weeks later, you're dead in the water. So we know why that happens. And it's from a few things. Annie's going to hit them, but we get shiny object syndrome. We see a tool, we get excited, and we jump in without actually knowing how to use it, or worse, without knowing how to do project management in the first place. Project management doesn't come naturally to most people. It doesn't come naturally to me. I didn't finish most of my own internal projects because I wasn't focused or aligned. Now, part of that was ADHD that I didn't know that I had until this year. But the majority of it is I needed help to figure out how to even think around this and then have the accountability to actually get in and use it consistently. And I got corrected by my team many times, and I'm really glad that they did, because without it, it wouldn't have been a success. And so we all kept each other accountable because each other person would go back to how they communicated or assign a task in other ways. But once it clicked, absolutely everything changed. And I could not believe how much stuff we were able to get done when we focused on one thing at a time and not my whole, um, you know, smattering of projects here and there and constantly changing the plan. So, uh, so this brings me to Annie, the person you're actually here to learn from. Annie Huskins, she has been our project management consultant for 3 years come January, but she got her start years before this, and our clients absolutely love her. She just transforms people's work environments for teams or individuals who actually implement this stuff. And I just hear so many powerful stories of people who have worked with her about not just finishing projects on time, like that's a given, but it's about teams finally being aligned. It's not wasting meetings over and over again. It's trying to find out, did this get done? Who did I ask for someone to do this? All of those sorts of things. It's all laid out because she's got templates for how to run meetings, and we're just going to put our tasks right in here, and everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing. So this goes way beyond project management. It's about alignment. And so that's what Annie's going to show you today. Quick note, we are demoing Hive today, but these principles work with any tool. The tool matters way less than the workflow, and Annie will show you what I mean. So Annie, here you go.
Thanks, Sean, for the very, very kind intro. hopefully live up to those high praises today. I'm excited to be with you all and to talk about a topic that has become near and dear to Sean and my heart because we have seen it be such an issue with so many of the clients that we have worked with. They, like Sean says, will get shiny object syndrome and say, hey, there's this new tool that showed up on my feed and it looks exciting and it's going to solve all my problems. And inevitably, jumping in and finding that it does not, in fact, solve all of your problems immediately, right? So, we're going to talk today about the top three mistakes that we see in our clients with their PM tools and how they fail. So, there are three critical mistakes that we're really going to focus on today that really doom tools before they even get off the ground, right? So one of those is choosing your tools before you have created an SOP, taking a tool first approach before you take a standard operating procedure approach. And my little project management heart is very excited to talk to you about that. That is a soapbox that I will stand on all day long. The second is a poor adoption strategy. So we have seen this be such an issue for teams that get excited about a new software, the team is excited about it for maybe a couple of weeks, but then very quickly they move away from that excitement and it becomes just another tool that has gone by the wayside, right? And then the third mistake that we see is trying to do too much in your project management software at one time, too much too soon. So let's jump right in and kind of talk in more detail about each of these mistakes. So your tool before an SOP. So people are getting excited about a new software, you jump in and without defining their standard operating procedures before they jump into the software. Now, an SOP, I know for probably most of you on this call, a lot of entrepreneurs, small business owners, medium-sized business owners, an SOP is not something that sounds exciting to you at all. You probably are more of a visionary and focusing on where your company is going and those exciting things. You liking to work on the business more than in the business, right? So I don't want SOP to feel like a bad word to us because it is important to have these in place before you jump into a software, a project management software. So in my opinion, jumping into a project management software before you have a well-defined workflow and SOP is kind of like trying to build a piece of IKEA furniture without instructions, right? So you could jump in and try to do your best, but in the end, that's just going to be frustrating and incredibly inefficient. You might have something that looks kind of like a TV cabinet, but in all respects, it was frustrating and inefficient to get there. So your standard operating procedure acts like the instruction manual for your systems and for your project management system. Your PM tool is not a standard operating procedure. Let me just reiterate this. Your PM tool is not, in and of itself, a standard operating procedure. In my opinion, best practice in the relationship between SOPs and project management softwares is that an SOP is a document that lives outside of your project management tool that is a foundational outline of your workflows, right? And you may have a number of SOPs that are defined and managed by different people, or maybe by you if you're wearing a lot of hats, right? But those are documents that should live outside of your project management tool because if down the road something shiny comes along, you want to explore a new tool, where are you going to pull those out of? Are you going to have to pull those systems, those workflows out of your previous project management software? Or do you have a well-defined system that it can exist and be maintained outside of whatever tool you're utilizing? So taking a standard operating procedure approach first, then looking to see how do I implement that inside of the project management tool that I am going to utilize.
Hey, Annie, can you give some examples of, for someone who's just getting started with standard operating procedures and like figuring out your workflow in the first place, because especially for solo people, they just do what they do. Give some examples of some ones that you might want to start with and why you would do that.
Absolutely. The things that are typically easiest to start with in SOPs are processes that you are completing on a very, very regular basis. So if that's a month closeout, or if that is a monthly content creation, um, things that you're repeating frequently are going to be the easiest things to start with SOPs. And I love to start SOPs utilizing AI as a tool. So I have basically a conversation with with AI and say, "Hey, this is kind of the process that I am wanting to outline. Here are some of my main steps. Can you fill in the blank?" Utilizing that as a starting place and then just tweaking as needed is a great way to get kind of just started in the world of SOPs. Okay, well, let's move on to mistake number two. So, poor adoption strategy is one of the things that we run into really, really frequently with clients trying to onboard to a new software. They either come into the new software with no rollout plan, no training plan, or an anemic one at best. So maybe you in the past have even paid a lot of money to have someone build you out a system and it has still failed, and you look back and you go, what did we do wrong, right? So one of the main things that is so important in an adoption strategy is for your team to understand the why of why you are jumping into this system and this tool. Not just the why, but the how does it benefit them in their day-to-day life, right? So some of these reasons why, of course, are project management tools obviously make collaboration so much easier. Instead of having to ask for status updates from your team all the time, you can just go and look at the project, see the status update for yourself. It enables lots of automations using dashboards. You can have client-facing dashboards and really streamlining the collaboration process for your team. Another reason why I see some of our clients leaning away from wanting to really enforce this in their team. Everybody, I hear a lot. Everybody is using it differently. Like everybody is in there now, but they're using it differently. Well, if everyone is using it differently, you're all using different terminology, you're looking in different places for different information, that does not improve efficiency or collaboration. In fact, it creates a rub, right? So setting the standard operating procedures up, this is how our team is going to use this software and this system is a hugely important part of an effective adoption strategy for your team. So if they do not understand the why, they will not adopt it on a regular basis. And an uncomfortable truth that sometimes our leaders don't want to necessarily talk about is that your team needs to understand that operating inside of the systems that you have created for your organization is part of their job description. Yes, they can have a say in what it looks like to operate their department and really customize things inside of a project management tool. But the tool itself that you are utilizing and some of the collaborative systems that you need to put in place, it really is part of their job description to live inside of those systems. And sometimes that is a conversation that needs to be had. So feel empowered to do that with your team if you need to have those types of conversations. The most important thing about an effective adoption strategy is that you lead by example and commit fully to the system. So, just like Sean said at the top of the call, when we were working to implement internal systems at the digital organizer, it really took him saying, okay, I am fully committing to this. I will not slack you about this such and such a thing. I will not email you about this such and such a thing. If I do, call me out on it and direct me back to the system that we're supposed to be operating inside of. If they see you as a leader doing it, and having success with it, it makes it so much easier for your team to fully commit. And if they see you being especially responsive inside of this new system, that's going to increase their positive user experience with it. If I can get a quick response that I need inside of this system, I'm going to be more inclined to use it. So, leading by example is the absolute most important piece of an effective adoption strategy.
I love this. And just to build on that, Annie, the when when we have those people correcting us of not assigning tasks or having these conversations in different places, it means that we don't have to keep checking 13 different places to feel on top of things. You can trust that you're looking at the right spot of if something is assigned to you. And you don't have to keep checking tons of different places. If you need to have a conversation about something, you always know where to go. We're not constantly having to make decisions over and over again. All of us are making plenty of decisions throughout the day, deciding what tool we're going to use, how we're going to use it, and flying by the seat of our pants actually makes things worse. And so that's where, constraints breed creativity. They actually really help us to have some constraints of this. So it may feel a tad bit limiting at first and annoying, but it is so freeing.
Absolutely. And also to that point, Sean, of having to search all these different platforms, these different tools for what you're looking for, in in historical cases where you need to go back and look at something that was previously done, rather than having to go, was this a Teams conversation? Was this a comment in a Google Doc? Was this an email? Where did this decision get ratified? Instead, I'm searching in one tool, in one place that makes sense where all of my communication is happening. Absolutely. Let's take a look at our third mistake. Too much too soon. So I have seen, especially over the last couple of years, as the project management software space has grown with the number of options that you have, with AI capabilities built into them, there has been an influx of just like feature overload, especially in some particular softwares that start with click and end with an up. If anyone has been inside of that space recently, it has felt overwhelmingly feature heavy to me. And in these cases where project management softwares, these companies are rolling out so many features and trying to sell them to you, there's not a way to also not have them be sold to your team that's inside of ClickUp, right? And not even like this investment so much as, ooh, your team member gets this notification that now can use this fancy new feature. But that's not part of the system that we built. And you have these opportunities for your team to kind of go rogue, or even yourself inside of these systems, right? I've got this shiny new thing. I built this beautiful system, but this new feature has come out, and now I'm off track from this beautiful system that I created, right? And in addition to that, when you're jumping into a software, you're trying to often use every feature from day one, right? Because you're going, okay, I'm going to just build this whole beautiful system and it's going to be perfect from the get-go and I'm going to continue to operate in it, right? That is a mistake that I think a lot of people make when they're working toward a software adoption, right? Is they're trying to have the perfect system and use every feature available to them immediately. What you should do instead is to, yes, be aware of every feature that is available and that you plan to utilize, but on the front end, you're strategizing and saying, okay, how this system, which of features inside of this software do I actually need to achieve what I'm trying to achieve? Or is it just feel fancy and I'm like, ooh, I can do this inside of here, so I'm excited, right? Instead, strategize at the beginning, right? And say, these are the features that myself or my team are going to utilize inside of this system. And then maybe take a phased approach to when and how you roll those things out in your adoption process, right? So phase one is maybe getting in, utilizing templates and understanding how to utilize your home screen and assigned actions. Maybe phase two is then jumping into dashboards and learning how to pull data that you need and information that you need, right? So strategizing on the front end and not jumping in and saying, I'm going to turn on every possible feature and utilize everything, but really thinking ahead of time, how do I not overwhelm myself and my team with too much too soon, right? Because overwhelm, it kills your momentum. So starting with that phased rollout instead is the best approach.
And maybe talk about too, people trying to create too many projects at the very beginning,
Yeah.
trying to do a brain dump and then build everything out and try and utilize it for everything going forward.
Yes, yes. That's a really good point, John, because another issue that I've seen so many times when we've jumped in with clients who are already inside of a project management software is not having put enough thought on the in the beginning to the hierarchy of how they're sorting their system, right? Like, what are the parent level projects and folders that I need to have? How am I going to think about and divide my work? How does that align with maybe my time blocking that I have on my calendar? And what does that look like with my weekly day to day? Right? And not thinking enough about that on the front end that you get in and then it suddenly there are a million projects and everyone is creating a project for everything. There's not a system in place to say this is what we create a project for and this is where it should live, right? So it creates overwhelm really, really quickly and easily.
Yeah, especially with the teams. If you got a team, you have other people working with you. Everyone has a different proficiency in their use of technology and even understanding of some of these things. So if we just do way too much at once, then you're trying to learn too much and accomplish at the same time. And in doing it in an uncomfortable environment, that's tough. So like really limiting it, not doing too much too soon, the features and the amount of projects and things that you're just trying to even keep track of and do. What can we start with and that we do habitually that we can then create a new muscle memory of this is how we do this, and then we can start adding in. And James Clear talks about that in Atomic Habits. Of we can build complex habits by starting with one thing that we do, and then we can add another thing in and another thing in. So keeping it accomplishable is so huge.
Yes, because that sense of immediate success inside of the platform is so important, right? To feel like it is immediately helpful and not overwhelming, and I have a clear picture of what I'm trying to accomplish in this space. Exactly. All right. So I'm excited to do a live demo for you of a system that we have found that actually works and is easy to implement and specifically helps avoid like these top three mistakes that we've been talking about today. So I, for many years, was a giant fan of Asana and was a partner in all of the things and was introduced to a new software about a year ago that I have since fallen in love with. People on LinkedIn are probably tired of hearing me talk about it. Apologies if you happen to follow me on LinkedIn. But I'm excited to jump in and give you a demo today about some of these high level features that we really think can help solve some of these common problems. So this is Hive. I am, just so you know, for this demo, I am operating in the Hive desktop space. And I'm going to walk you through in Hive how we solve kind of those three specific problems that we have talked about today. So, tool before SOP. So you can use Hive in multiple ways, as we said, to set up a workflow, a standard operating procedure that you have defined outside of the system. In Hive, you can create project templates that contain all of the steps and things that are needed in these repeatable processes. So essentially, you're taking your SOP document and building a template inside of Hive that outlines whatever repeatable process you and your team are doing frequently. From there, you can quickly and easily create a new project using the template that you have inside your space. You can have different selection options, how you want that to come over when the template is utilized. You can select your project members and set permissions right in this view, and then create a project. So this template library that lives in Project Navigator is an incredibly helpful place for you to build out these repeatable processes, these SOPs, and put automations in place for your team that make these processes much simpler, easier to collaborate on. So for poor adoption strategy, one of the ways that I love to mitigate this inside of Hive is to set up Hive training inside of Hive itself. So part of why I like this approach is that the team then gets assigned each one of these Hive training actions, and inside of these actions, they are walked through and are gaining muscle memory for how to utilize the system as they are utilizing the system, right? So from there, we can also create for anyone who's leading the training efforts a dashboard that will track progress for your team as they work their way through Hive training, right? So building this training out inside of Hive and helping them to feel successful as they gain even muscle memory, quick and easy muscle memory inside of the space. So one of the things that I love most about Hive is the apps. So like we talked about, so many of these softwares, when you get inside them, are trying to get you to turn on every app and every feature possible immediately. Hive allows you to select the apps that you want to turn on for your workspace and for yourself individually. You can turn them on and off. You can also pin them to your sidebar. So you can keep your sidebar nice and simple and only have apps showing that you need to show. So I have forms and dashboards. Those are things that I'm accessing really frequently and like to have in my sidebar. You'll see that there is a delineation between premium apps, workspace apps, and personal apps. Premium apps are options that you can turn on inside of your space. So the way that Hive does their pricing structure is basically you can kind of build your own plan. So there's a base user per month cost, depending on the plan that you choose. And then each of the premium apps are just $5 per user per month. And so you can really build a plan around the premium features that you need. And it's highly, highly customizable, a lot more customizable than a lot of the other pricing structures that we see in other softwares.
Yeah, just to expand on that, actually, I feel like it can it can feel like, oh my gosh, $5 per month for that premium app. Like you don't really get that option with ClickUp or Asana. If you want this, then you have to jump from $10 to 35 a month. And so, like, when it comes to project management, it actually can get pretty expensive per user, actually, really expensive per user. And so, this really gives a lot more flexibility depending on what you're actually utilizing, because we got to figure out the ROI. Is the return on investment here to make us, feel like we're ready to actually purchase something?
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Then you'll see quickly just the workplace apps that are available, different things you can turn on across your entire workspace. You can limit these to admin only being able to edit these. So dashboards, dependencies, goals, messaging. Yes, that is chat built right into the system that replaces Slack for many people. Notes, you can integrate with QuickBooks, with Zero. And then there are personal apps that you turn on per user. You can sync your calendar so that you'll see your calendar right inside of Hive. And then I will talk a little bit more here in just a second about Hive Mail, which is another one of my favorite features, right? So part of the reason that this solves that problem of too much too soon is that you have, of course, the option to turn on and off these apps for your workspace, for your team, for yourself. Really keep this sidebar and the features that you're looking at on a day-to-day basis simplified and streamlined to only what you're actually really utilizing, right? So I'm going to jump back over. That was a super quick little demo of Hive, but I hope that it has gotten you a little bit excited to see more, right? So we talked about how Hive solves kind of for each of these mistakes, right? So an SOP becomes a template inside of Hive. So you're utilizing those custom templates to clearly define your workflows, The smart adoption, you can create training projects, help dashboards that become like internal wikis for your team, so that they have a quick and easy place to go and reference for their resources, for projects, for SOPs, setting up automations inside of those templates to really make the workflow simple and easy. And then, of course, turning on and off those apps as needed, only activating what you need to utilize. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat, kind of these three mistakes that we've talked about. Those of you that have maybe tried a tool or two or three in the past and it has not stuck. Which of these three mistakes is kind of standing out to you? Did you kind of put your tool before your SOPs and not create enough of a system? Did you have a poor adoption strategy? Didn't train your team enough? Didn't enable them to do their work inside of the system enough? Or did you try to do a little too much too soon? What sticks out to you guys? All of the tool first. Yep. All of the above. I hear that. I feel that. Too much too soon. Tool first. Yep. Yep.
That and
Yep.
just not using anything in the first place because I just kept looking for the perfect tool,
A silver bullet.
actually
Yep.
getting it done. And it's not about the tool, it's about actually knowing how to do it and doing it well. It's like the same 80% of every project management app, they're all identical.
Yes.
It's just these little features that help you create an environment in visual space that make more sense to you, and sometimes pricing and these other things. But in the end, you got to get started and then just don't do too much too soon.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Cool.
So, talking just a little bit about some of the things that I feel set Hive apart from other systems that I have operated inside of. You can see the interface itself is really intuitive. It's easy to onboard for yourself and for your team. There is full email integration. This is one of my absolute favorite features. So you have your entire inbox inside of Hive. You can quickly and easily link an email to an action card, a task, and then the entire email thread syncs to that action card for the rest of the time that any emails come into that thread. So a great example of a use case for that is you say I'm a project manager and I'm sending out a proof to a client or something to a client. I say, okay, this action is attached to this email. That client's whole email thread is now connected to that. And anyone can look back and see the history of the conversation that happened in email. So you're not jumping back and forth between your inbox and your project management software, which is one of the biggest rubs that we see people have with utilizing a project management software. How do I get my tasks from my email and into the software? It's built right into Hive. Built-in chat, as I mentioned. So that is a feature that can replace things like Teams or Slack. You're actually having the conversation where the work is happening, right? And you can mention projects and actions. It's all in one place. So built-in proofing and approvals. This is one of the reasons I like Hive for creative teams, is because of the proofing and approvals process that's built in. There's markup tools that are built straight into the software. You can use them internally or send them externally for client reviews. Awesome, awesome feature there. The flexible pricing, like we talked about, you pay only for what you need, only the features that you need and that you want your team to have inside of Hive, right? And I didn't mention anything about Buzz, but Buzz is their AI feature. And in my experience, it is the best built-in AI tool that I have seen on the market. Plus, it feels like a kind of like a little friend inside of Hive with you. He's like this super cute little bee, and you just want to be friends with Buzz. He's incredibly helpful. One of the things that I love the most, though, is the support team at Hive. So I, as a partner, have seen the way that their team not only supports me and Sean and I as partners, but the way that they genuinely care about the feedback from users. They're constantly doing improvements to the system, and it is very diplomatically run. They are not prioritizing the updates and the changes that they're making to the system based on what they think is best. Like, ooh, we're excited about this new feature we think is going to be useful. No, they listen to the feedback of actual users and implement those changes for people. So we want to give you guys some time to ask us questions. So, Sean, if there's anything that's popped up in the chat, maybe let's try to address those things first. And then if there's anybody that has any questions, they can pop in, unmute, and we'll jump in and answer.
Everybody's mainly just been listening, so yeah, raise your hand or unmute yourself, and we can go. You can go ahead and ask a question. Yeah. By the way, the built-in chat. I mean, what she was talking about is Slack. Uh, do any of you guys are any of you guys using Slack or a chatting tool for your team right now? Okay, I see John is yeah, we got nodding. It feels impossible to stay on top of all the action items, let alone the conversations that are happening in there. This is where the having that communication strategy in your team really makes sense of where are we going to communicate about different things. And that was what she was talking about earlier of me being corrected of there were times that I would email someone a task that I wanted them to complete, and then I said, shouldn't this go back in project management? It's like, oh, you're right, because it was just one more thing. We ended up canceling our Slack account because we realized all the conversations that we were having were actually having about tasks. And so we were having those conversations right in there. And so it was all in context because our community and actually like chatting with each other, our team is small enough that we could just text. But then also we have meetings built in throughout the week to have that actual connection. So we're not just chit-chatting all day long. So it's something that, man, being able to release Slack and Teams and those things is just so powerful. And to be able to just have that focus of this is where we're discussing this work and having those demarcation lines of where we're having different types of conversations. It's really freeing.
For sure. We must have just done such a beautiful job
I
summarizing
know.
this
I
meeting.
know.
No one has a single
You're
question.
patting yourself on the back, Annie.
No, that's awesome.
Cool. Well, unless nobody has any questions, I think we can let you go. Meg, thank you. You're welcome. We're so happy you guys were here. If you're interested in having a call with us to talk about either digital organization in general or project management and implementing this stuff, you can book a discovery call easily using this link. And if you're interested in checking out Hive, scan that QR code or go to that URL and you can get a 25% discount for your first 6 months since Annie is a partner with Hive. Okay. So someone says she always, Tessa always has questions, but needs some processing time. Please email us. We actually look at emails, answer all of the emails. So give us a shout. Often I just end up replying with a video and demoing what I'm actually talking about. So yeah, go ahead. Oh, Diane, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Okay. I was gonna say, can you email the Hive thing to scan? Would you mind emailing that?
sure. Yep.
Okay, and that's just because it'll be a little easier. And then I was gonna ask when I was looking at Hive, it was asking for access to everything, emails, Google files, everything. Is that the setting you all use?
Yeah, so part of why that is necessary when you're logging into Hive is because of those integrations with your calendar and with your mail, because those things are now available to you inside of your project management system. That's why it asks for the access that it does. That's perfectly normal and it's perfectly safe. I have yet to in my time with Hive see any security issues or have any concerns with that in any way.
Okay, that's good to know. And then I'm an individual and just share things with some family members that are kind of projects. Do you think it'll work okay for that?
Yes, absolutely. So you have the option to add external users. And
Mhm.
if they need to be users inside of Hive, they can absolutely do that and interact in most of the same ways that a full user can. You also have the option to share individual, like you could create a dashboard that was just for them, that basically they don't even have to be logged in. They just go to this dashboard link and see the progress of how things are coming along and status updates. The difference between those two things would be, do they need to interact with the tasks, like check them off, check off actions, or do they just need to see the progress itself?
Yeah, I'm glad John said he had a similar question because I was waiting to ask my question probably too late because I was like, well, the business owners should get to ask theirs first. So thank you so much for that answer. I really appreciate it. It seems like it may do some of the things Scotty and I were talking about. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Part
doesn't. Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead, Nate.
Okay. Okay. Uh, part of why I do like Hive is because it is highly scalable in either direction. So it is so simple to set up and easy to use that solopreneurs, individuals, like Sean and I worked with a client that literally is like managing your household, but utilizing this system. So anything from individuals all the way up to enterprise level solutions, it is highly scalable. So the same principles can apply just on a smaller scale with you and with your business and your household.
There's this one podcast that I was on, Chelsea Joe. She's got a whole community, and so she speaks specifically to women. But her thing is like building out these templates for managing your home life. And then it's an upsell or a different program. Now she's starting to do some business stuff, trying to figure out a system to help implement business. But like figuring out the different domains of your life and being able to have lists and just be able to remember recurring tasks that need to get done, whether it's, changing my air filters, which I have as part of it, but also doing taxes. And as a business owner, like, and I was a solopreneur for what, 7 years. Um, it doesn't mean that I don't have to do taxes and I don't have to submit like five different tax documents of the state tax that, and all of the rest. All of that is actually in a finance template, and it just renews, or I check it off, and so it comes right back and it has a new due date for the next year. And so there's just so many things that you can really keep track of, and it doesn't matter if it's personal or work. You may want to use two different tools for that. Maybe actually you're locked into Asana at work, but you can use Hive at home if you like this tool for your own personal stuff.
I have a question. I didn't raise my hand. I'll raise it now. Uh, how you had, discussing the individual aspect a bit more. How would something like this, like, where does the line between an individual world, the needs you don't have in front, as much of the enterprise needs. So where would something like this pick up versus, say, a Todoist or other task manager that has some project stuff in it?
That's a great question, John. And I think I would point back to some of the features that are, so far as I know, exclusive to Hive. So if you say you get an email from your personal accountant, your whatever, you need to send them some type of specific document, but you have to do like a little bit of work, prep work, something to get it ready, right? You get an email from them. So in Hive, I can say, okay, I'm going to create an action from this email and set a due date, assign it to myself, and say, okay, I need to work on this 3 days from now. That's when I know that I have time to work on this, right? In that action card, the email is synced. So I can see the request from my accountant, and I can even reply directly to my accountant after I do it and check that off. So in a personal use case, I can see projects like parent level projects being maybe home maintenance, vacation planning, financial planning. I've seen people use it for gift like Christmas planning, home projects. There are a number of things that are exceptionally good use cases for individuals as well. And I see another question. Let's see. C Rob said, anyone have a good template or prompt to set up the SOP before selecting a PM? So Rob, I when I'm using I tend to treat it like a friend and just keep at it until it gets me what I need. So I would start even with something like, I need to create an SOP around my month closeout. And here are the steps that I know that I need to do. Help me think of what I'm missing and create an outline that I could then utilize inside of a project management system. And start with that and see what it gives you. And then just iterate on it from there, because you can iterate on it, of course, inside of the AI, right? And then copy and paste whatever's in AI and keep editing it as you need to. And SOPs are things that need review. So on a regular basis, you should be reviewing your SOPs, making sure that those are still accurate in all of the ways that they're outlining, and if they need any updates. And I just want to point out today on the call we do have Josh from Hive with us. Josh, if you are there, he is. Hi. I'm sure he heard me bragging on the Hive team and how present they are and how wonderful they are, not just to the partners, but to users as well. So, Josh, we're glad to have you today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Annie. I'm really excited to be here, and yeah, excited to meet all of you. I'm really happy that you took time out of your busy schedules to come and learn more about Hive. Annie and Sean have both been great partners for us. We love working with them, and I think that there are a lot of ways that Annie and Sean can help you make the most of your experience with Hive. So thanks for taking this first step. I'm available as a resource if you need anything from Hive directly. But you're, of course, in good hands working with Annie and Sean as well. So thanks for having me. I'm here if you have any questions, too, for Hive. Happy to answer those. But yeah, just really excited to see this great turnout and everyone come to learn more about what we're building.
Thanks so much, Josh.
Thank you. Cool. All right.
If there aren't any other questions, Sean,
I think that's about it. I am thinking about that SOP before selecting a PM question of one more thing of really diving into the AI aspect of that. You can hit, like, especially with ChatGPT, you can hit the record button or a little microphone to the right of the send tool, and you can just talk. You sit there and it is so frequent that I will sit there and talk for 10 minutes straight of what I'm thinking through in the whole thing, and then it helps to start clarifying my thought process and what I'm doing and things like that. So utilize your voice and just talking through things, and that can be extremely helpful. The other thing is, if you're a Loom user and the process that you want to document is something that you do on the computer, well, you can record your screen with Loom, talk through the entire process and go through and click on it, and it will create a whole SOP for you. And it's a great starting point. It's not going to be perfect. You want to clean it up and everything, but it is shockingly good because, especially now, when I did it before, years ago, it was way too much, and it's gotten really amazing. So, and I'll take that sort of thing, and I'll even ask it to create a template for me to import somewhere else. But at this point, now that Buzz has got its upgrade, you can say, okay, my project management Hive has an AI called Buzz that can build this stuff out for me. Can you summarize all this and get it ready so that I can just paste it in there and it can build it for me? And that way you don't have to go in and redo all this work, because half the process for most of us who don't like doing SOPs is all of the manual work of typing it out. So if I can voice it, if I can actually do it, with Loom, copy that stuff and then dump it in and say, okay, get this ready for Hive to build out. I mean, we're getting rid of all the grunt work. That's really what I want you to think about. AI being your biggest friend is reducing grunt work and things that you don't actually really like to do. Cool. All right. You're welcome. Well, go ahead, Annie.
I was just going to ask Josh if you don't mind to just speak for just a second on some of the updates that have recently come out with Buzz and the AI and the features that you guys are excited about there at Hive.
Yeah, one of my favorite topics to speak about. So thank you for inviting me to do that. We actually had a, a launch event a few weeks ago for Buzz. Buzz is our embedded AI agent inside of the Hive platform. And Buzz can do a lot of different things. Right? Buzz is kind of the branding, the way we talk about this AI capability. And we've given him this persona, right? He has in the platform. But what are some of the things Buzz can do for you? As we showed in the launch event a few weeks ago, Buzz is able to create projects, assign actions based on prompts that you give it. And so you can tell Buzz, hey, I need your help to create this new structure and assign these tasks at due dates, that sort of thing. So kind of the most basic like project management assistance it can provide in just getting the core parts of the project management platform up and running. Other cool things that Buzz can do. So we do have the ability to connect your email inbox to your Hive workspace. And if you do so, Buzz is available to help review your emails and suggest next steps, suggest replies to that email, and then also automatically create projects, actions, and set due dates based on the information that was communicated in the email exchange. And then there's also a chat function with Buzz, and so you can pull Buzz up, and he can go and fetch information from the open web. He can help you do some analysis. The kind of the standard GPT type of services are available to you embedded inside of the Hive workspace. So those were the things we demoed a few weeks ago. That's what's available today. We've been working on these things for a while. It wasn't released a few weeks ago, but we had a big launch event surrounding it. Now, what comes next, right? We are continuing to give Buzz skills and capabilities related to the core project management functions. And so if you explore Hive, you'll see we have great tools for resourcing, for proofing and approving content, right? And we're putting Buzz to work on those things so that instead of a non-AI assisted proofing process, you can have an AI assisted proofing process with Buzz providing that assist instead of a non-AI assisted resourcing process to say, hey, who's available to work on this project, checking schedules, that sort of thing. We have AI available to do that for you. So again, really just as that assistant riding alongside you as you're managing your workspace, managing projects in Hive. And we're going to continue to grow those capabilities. Also very open to feedback as you get started in your Hive journey. If you have ideas for ways that Buzz can help you, please do let us know.
Thanks so much, Josh. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I feel like we can wrap this up, but do want to reiterate that Sean and I, the team at Digital Organizer, would love to hear from you, booking a discovery call to just see how, even if it's outside of Hive, even if it's one of the other solutions that we offer, email management, document management, password management, all of these ways that we can help you, please do book a discovery call. And then also feel free to jump in and take a look at Hive. It is intuitive enough that you do not need our help to get in there and explore. If you do have questions, feel free to reach back out to us, and we're happy to partner with you in onboarding to that. But scan this code, scan either code, take a look, and we'll be excited to help you with next steps. Sean?
All right. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it, whether you're here or you're watching the replay. I know your time is valuable, and this is all about trying to protect your time so that you can stay focused and focused on the things that you really want to do and stop fighting with your tech and allowing it to actually help you accomplish what you're trying to do. Because while the tools are cool, in the end, we've got other interests that really trump all of this and want this to support you. So, yep, as she said, we are tool agnostic. While we love Hive, and we're a Google shop primarily. We still work with Microsoft and all the other platforms as well. So, and if people are ever interested in, well, what tool should I use? That's part of our process of interviewing you of how do you work? Who do you work with? All of those things to really help guide you in picking the right things. So we're here for you guys. And if you need anything, we'd love to chat. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.